Views and opinions expressed are not necessarily those of the staff or management of the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas podcast.
Greetings. Hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend. I'm John Engelman. Appreciate you being here as always. And today we have an interesting one. In fact, it's one I've been curious about for some time. How do chefs get their knives sharpened? Do they send them off one by one? Do they do it themselves? Well, we caught up with a local mobile knife sharpener to get the answers. We talked to Tyler Eck of Home Den Sharpening. But before we do that, well, we're just over a week away from the 9th annual downtown Springdale Street Dinner on Emma Avenue. It'll be between Spring and Main and is always sold out in the past, so get your tickets now. This year's chef was announced last week, and he won't have to go far, as Bienvenue's William Mauk will take the helm. Here's the menu for the event. Chef Mauk talks about the task ahead.
It's exciting and challenging. You know, we gotta serve like 400 people outside. So we've done big events in the past, and so it should go smoothly. But there's always going to be little kinks to happen. So that's what makes it fun.
Speaking of Chef Mauk and Bienvenue, they just started lunch service yesterday, and the executive chef will be right in the thick of it.
I'm excited about lunch. I'm doing it mostly on myself, so it gives me a chance to kind of get back into cooking and keep it still authentic, but a lot more casual. My team in the PM, they're really talented and really skilled, and so a lot of times during the PM service, once we have the menu set up, there's not a whole lot for me to do. Those guys kind of take it from here. So this will be, a way for me to kind of keep my chops and stuff like that. So I'm excited about it.
Now for some news that I don't like. One of my favorite places in Northwest Arkansas, the Park House Kitchen and Bar in Siloam Springs, took what they're calling a major hit and have done extensive damage from the storms last week. They recently found out that because of the age, the roof was excluded from the insurance policy. Translation, they'll have a big bill coming soon. So they're having a Raise the Roof party. It includes a battle of the bartenders, 6 of them to be exact, some current and some from the past. It's going to be $30 a ticket, and that'll get you 6 cocktail samples from the 6 bartenders, as well as dinner and karaoke. To get tickets, go to Park House's Facebook or Instagram. Well, this one snuck up on me last week as a new Italian restaurant opened in Springdale last Friday. Palermo's opened in the spot that was Joe's Italian on East Robinson, which caught fire a few years ago. The same family that owned Joe's owns Palermo's. I talked to one of the family members and asked what the difference would be between the two restaurants, and she said Palermo's would be more chicken, pasta, and seafood as opposed to pizza and sandwiches. They're open every day but Monday from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Congrats to Green Door Farms and Zen Tea. They each won a $5,000 grant from Cureate, while Middle Child Cookies won the $1,000 community vote. They all took Cureate courses, then pitched their businesses. They announced the winners after having to take cover at the Fayetteville Strawberry Festival. It's a big day Thursday for the Market Center of the Ozarks as they're having their grand opening and ribbon cutting. It's a state-of-the-art facility designed to support the region's farmers and food entrepreneurs with crop aggregation and processing capabilities, certified commercial kitchens, and technical assistance to help scale local food businesses. There will be complimentary tastings from local food entrepreneurs, live music, and special gifts. The event goes from 2 to 5 with a 2:30 ribbon cutting. The Bentonville Barbecue Fest is this Saturday afternoon at the Momentary. The bad news is that the tickets sold out last week. But the good news? It sounds amazing. I caught up today with event organizer Haley Burley. Haley, thanks for your time. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for hopping on. So you're coming up on sleepless nights here. We're here.
Oh, definitely. It's kicked in the last couple of weeks, just on call, just details, figuring out loose ends. We're really, really excited about it.
Boy, it's weird because you don't know what you don't know because this is the first one. So where did the idea for this one come from?
It actually came from my coworker, Brady Blake. He was trying to think about ways to get the community involved and get some local attraction to Northwest Arkansas. And we have such good variety of barbecue in Northwest Arkansas and a lot of the states bordering Arkansas itself. But we don't really have anything distinctive to Arkansas itself. We did obviously think about bikes, blues, and barbecues, but over in the last couple of years, it's been more so blues and bikes rather than barbecue. So that's kind of where it came from. And we were lucky enough to be able to partner with Jordan Wright, who is the barbecue master of Arkansas.
Sure, you bet.
And he gave us all these really, really cool connections.
Boy, he's got them too, doesn't he?
He definitely does. He's really been a great partner to have.
And speaking of which, you guys have put together a heck of a lineup. Tell me about it. I mean, just from the South all the way up to Chicago.
Yes, sir. We've got 15 different pitmasters from 9 different states, from San Antonio, Texas, to Chicago, West Palm Beach, Charleston, South Carolina. We're going to have 3 different villages in the barbecue festival. We've got Lone Star, which is kind of like a Texas style. We've got Heritage, which is more of your traditional barbecue, and then Tomorrow Q, which is going to feature kind of innovative items, things you wouldn't normally think of being smoked or barbecued, like fish, tacos, soups.
I love the idea about that. I would love to see. I would really love to see what they have cooking over there, because we know with tradition and Texas, we know what that's going to be. Barbecue at Tomorrow, no clue, really.
No
At least
clue.
I wouldn't.
And that's what makes it exciting.
Yeah, right. So what's also exciting about it is it all goes to a good cause.
It does. It does. We have been able to partner with Hogs for the Cause, which is a New Orleans-based nonprofit that helps families struggling with pediatric brain cancer. So we are going to be able to donate all of our proceeds to Hogs for the Cause, and fingers crossed, be able to put some of those funds locally into the Northwest Arkansas Children's Hospital expansion.
Great. Oh, great. Glad to hear that as well. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know you're super, super busy, especially getting this close to the event. So thanks for carving out a little bit of time for me. Sure appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
This one comes from my buddy Maria. You can find her on Instagram at The Good Life NWA. The Do It Yum trailer is open at the 8th Street Marketplace. It's a coffee and soft serve ice cream trailer, and they are super creative. They basically have all the toppings and choices you could imagine. Check out the Do It Yum trailer on Instagram, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Finally, congrats to Darwin Beyer and his team at Meiji in Fayetteville. They're celebrating their 15th anniversary today. Meiji and Darwin did our podcast on April 24th of last year, long before we went to video. He still has one of my all-time favorite Miking Woman Home Pro tips of the week. And it has to do with how to make your tempura shrimp crispier and how to make your kids eat fried rice. Some brilliant tips. Check them out if you have a second. And happy anniversary to Meiji. Well, Tyler Eck kind of fell into sharpening knives. It wasn't what he originally wanted to do, but he was hoping that this would get him in the door to doing what he had originally wanted. Little did he know that sharpening is what he would fall in love with. He sharpens more than knives. If it's got an edge, chances are he can sharpen it. He'll tell us the list of what he sharpens so far. And yes, you don't have to be a professional chef or stylist to get your blades sharpened by Tyler, as he sharpened a few things for me quickly. In fact, he does it during the interview. We talk with Tyler Eck of Honed In Sharpening, and that's next, right here on The Flavors of Northwest Arkansas.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation, innovating to prepare students for our fast-changing world. They're skilled experts, discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, leading by example. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org.
Greetings. Welcome back. We are at Cafe Con Chisme in downtown Springdale here. We're with Tyler Eck, Honed In Sharpening. How are you, bud?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it. Tyler sharpens knives of many of the chefs and other professionals in the area, if you will. And we'll get into all that, but I want to start with your background, if we could. Where are you originally from to begin with?
Sure. I was born and raised in western Oklahoma, near a town called Enid.
Oh, yeah.
More specifically, Fairview.
Yeah.
My dad still lives there, so shout out to Fairview.
There you go.
I moved to Missouri around the 6th grade.
Okay.
And that's where I stayed, graduated high school, and then moved to Fayetteville to come to the university.
Sure.
And was a member of the Razorback Marching Band.
There you go. What'd you play?
The tuba.
The tuba. Well,
Yeah.
you had to haul that thing around, didn't you?
Yeah.
Those things are huge.
We were the most dancingest section in all of the.
I'll bet you were.
Yeah, we like to, groove around and shake around.
Nice. Well, you got to.
Yeah.
If you got it, you got to do it, right?
Yeah. If you got it, flaunt it.
That's right. That's right. So after doing the tuba in the U of A marching band,
I ended up graduating with a degree in a soil science and water science.
Okay.
ESWS.
Okay.
And kind of didn't really use that at all. The first job out of college was at a hazardous waste facility.
Okay.
At here in Washington County, and I hated that job.
What did they have you do?
I was collecting old paint and old tires,
Ooh.
old batteries, and I was storing them and organizing them accordingly.
Oh dear.
It was dirty and hot, and I felt like Mike Rowe every day.
Dirty jobs for
Yeah.
those that don't know. Yeah, for sure. Love some micro, by the way.
Yeah.
He's great. He's great. So you go from doing that to...
So while I was there, I found out about this company that honed in sharpening.
Okay.
They're called Food Loops. Shout out to them. They're still in existence. They take food waste from restaurants and big events, and they compost it and turn it into a marketable fertilizer.
Smart.
And so I heard about this company, and me with my soil science background, I wanted to, go save the earth.
Yeah.
And, they said, well, we don't have a job doing that right now, but do you want to sharpen some knives? And I just...
Okay. All right. Let me stop you there.
Yeah.
If that's not even on your brain, are you looking at this and thinking, this might be a little bit of a stepping stone to get me to what I want to get to on the other side?
Kind of.
Okay.
Like I really wanted to go do the compost, but
Yeah.
I guess that the universe didn't have that in store for me. And so...
The universe tends to point in directions that end up working at times.
yeah. And so I was the first employee of Honed In.
Okay.
And the only employee of Honed In. I was the only person working there, sharpening.
Okay, so it was something that they just wanted to start,
Yeah.
and they needed someone to do it, and they thought, this guy looks like he might be able to help us sharpen.
For sure. During the interview process, I brought out my pocket knife. I talked about the edge geometry, about the chemical processes taking place on the steel, the patinas forming.
You did your homework is what you did.
Well, I'd always been like a tool person. Like
Yeah.
growing up back in Oklahoma, my dad was a carpenter, a former welder.
Oh, wow.
My grandparents were like a furniture maker or a painter.
Okay.
Or everybody had a skill set.
Everyone was a maker.
Yeah, and so I really appreciated the tools that took to get the job done.
Yeah.
And so whenever this opportunity presented itself, I found it really easy just to fall in line.
Okay.
Just so everything came naturally.
Okay.
I cared. I understood, and so it was just natural. I loved it.
So let me ask you about that. It wasn't something you loved initially. What kind of got you to that point?
I have to say that.
Stumped you.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
I have to say that maybe even through this career path, I found that service is a love language of mine.
Oh, sure.
And so I love providing this service, and I love being of service,
Okay.
myself, being useful. And so I love learning about the history of the tools, or the individuals that use them, how they use them, why they use them, when they use them,
Sure.
and how I can most effectively apply my services or my knowledge or my tools to help them get the job done easier. And it's just like a calling that's provided a lot of satisfaction in my life.
Well, and adding to that, being good and growing into being good at something is pretty satisfying as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that probably helped the love and the growth with that. So, and this is, I don't know, this is just a question that I have. How do you learn to sharpen if no one teaches you?
Well, As a kid, my father was like an amateur knife maker.
Oh, okay.
And so he had some equipment, and I remember like just, being able to pull up to the kitchen table and sharpen my Swiss Army knife with a very, very nice sharpener that my dad had. And
so it wasn't like the little rock we had in Boy Scouts that you rub it on and do that. And they're like, oh, you can use spit. So you spit on the rock and you do it that way. And you're thinking there's no way this is working, but they assure you that it's working, but it's not.
Yeah, but that's just something that's not taught very often.
No.
Whereas like how you form a burr, why a burr forms on steel, what to do with it.
Okay, now you're going to have to explain what that means. What's a burr?
A burr forms on a piece of steel whenever you apply abrasives to the opposite side.
Okay.
And that's because steel has plasticity to it.
Okay.
It can be molded, shaped, and formed, bent. And so as you remove material on one side, the plasticity of steel kind of makes some of the material flip over and hang on to the other.
Huh.
And so because steel has this plasticity, you can really feel for a burr, and you can know whenever you've reached the apex of that cutting edge. And so like a ceramic knife has zero plasticity and will not form a burr. And so like I hate sharpening ceramic knives because I think they're dumb, but you also can't really like tell whenever they're sharp unless you just cut with it. So
I wasn't expecting that. Ceramic knives are dumb. If you learn nothing else today, know that ceramic knives are dumb.
Yeah.
That's great. That's wonderful. Well, I know there are a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast. What was it like? Because I know at one point you're like, it's time for me to do this on my own, but you were kind of shoved in that direction.
Yeah, it wasn't a plan of mine to become a business owner. It was just kind of like thrust upon me.
Mm-hmm.
The owner kind of decided he wanted to put all of his eggs into his other baskets.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, at one point I was like, all right, he's taking me along with me. I'm going to get to go compost finally.
Yeah.
But I was kind of heartbroken whenever I didn't get to go along, but the opportunity to become business owner kind of presented itself, and I took the ownership of Honed In like a little before a year after I became employed there.
Mm-hmm.
And I took my very, very last paycheck and I invested it in some professional scissor sharpening equipment because so the business had always been focused on knives.
Sure.
And so throughout that first year, I got asked if I sharpen like professional beauty shears.
Mm-hmm.
Nearly weekly, and so I knew the demand was there, and I could like Google and look online, and that service wasn't really being offered.
Yeah.
Boy, was I wrong, but it just wasn't like listed online as being offered.
Sure.
And so I thought it was an opportunity for me to, dive into the scissors as well, and so that's what I did. As soon as I became business owner, I still kept the knives focus. I started doing some local farmers markets. I tried to get some collaborations with some chefs and restaurants and just try to get my name out there. And I feel like that was just the drive and the hunger was what grew the business the most.
Yeah,
actually.
And it's kind of addicting, doing it on your own and being your own boss and having success. Yeah. All of a sudden you're thinking, what on earth was I doing?
Yeah. And I guess like there's a huge mindset shift from going from employee to owner.
Mm-hmm.
Like before it was just show up to work, do the work, get a paycheck. Now you have to find the work, do the work, and somehow make it all work to where you can still get a paycheck.
Absolutely.
And it was daunting, and it was a learning experience.
For sure.
And I loved every minute. I'm still loving every minute of it.
Yeah. Oh, I know you are. And you guys will see here in a little bit in the next segment, Tyler sharpening. I may have brought a knife or two.
Right on.
Knife and scissors. Anyway, shears, if you will. Kitchen shears. I'm not cutting hair. So I want to jump in a little bit too. As you go off on your own, you have your first retail spot, and it's in Prairie Grove. Tell me about that.
So whenever I first became the owner, I kind of packed up everything from our spot in Bentonville, and I moved it closer to home in Prairie Grove. I found a little like flea market that would host me. I rented it out. Basically, it was a closet in the back. And I got to do all my grinding and, being loud and doing all, making a mess back there. And eventually, enough locals found me and knew about me and were coming, making their way through the back of the store.
Yeah.
That we decided to move me to the front of the store, give me like a storefront type situation. One of my favorite things about having that storefront in Prairie Grove was I was able just to go walk around all these flea markets and antique stores and find old tools that needed a handle or needed some love and some life, and redo them and restore them. Sometimes I'd put a funky paint job on them.
Yeah, man.
And I'd sell them there in the store.
Again, a maker from a family of makers.
Yeah, it was fun.
Absolutely there. So from that point, you decide it's time to go mobile. Tell me about that process.
Again, another situation that was thrust upon me.
You keep getting kicked out of the nest. What's happening here?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because part of going mobile was the pandemic, and then also just like a huge living change, like a divorce and other things. But the pandemic really made me look at my expenses and my overhead,
of course,
and all that kind of stuff. And I got out while I could, and I packed it all into a trailer, and I went mobile. And I was able to set up a nifty scheduling app to where people could schedule themselves, or I could schedule them. They could be on a reoccurring service.
Yeah.
And it really, really helped grow that mobile offering. But during that time, a lot of things were just changing and different. And
sure.
One of the biggest drivers of business for me was the drop-off locker, because everybody didn't want to see each other or shake hands, but we were all staying home.
It was COVID. That's
cooking.
what we were doing.
Yeah.
I mean, you would order a pizza, and they would leave it at the door and take a few steps back and say, hey, you know, anything else you need or whatever. And that's just how it was. Man, I remember the first COVID Halloween. We were so stupid. But I bought a big pipe at the from Lowe's.
Oh.
And kids were at the bottom of the steps, and I would drop the candy through the pipe right into their bags.
Wow.
That's how COVID's stupid. I mean,
Yeah.
just firmly, we can't get within 10 feet of anybody, my wife and I. But again, that was at the point of COVID where we didn't know what we didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, and we hadn't lived through anything like that.
Yeah.
I've still got that, by the way, that PVC pipe out in the garage.
You're going to build a potato gun?
I might. It's pretty big, though. It's going to have to be some big old potatoes for it to go through there. Anyway, but yes, to your point, we didn't know. No one knew.
Yeah.
So you kind of took the bull by the horns and went mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a drop-off locker. And now that drop-off locker has really, become a staple of my business. It's like, it's accessible 24 hours a day.
Is it still there?
Yeah. Well, not in the same place, but it's still accessible in Fayetteville.
Okay.
It's accessible 24 hours a day, self-serve. You don't have to meet anybody, see anybody. Kind of roll up and roll out as you please.
Nice.
My other drop-off location is at Honeycomb Kitchen Shop.
Great.
And great folks, great place. They've been doing it for like over 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Me. Yeah.
Wow.
And like they have some like kitchen retail items, and then also you can take kitchen classes there.
Yeah,
and so you can learn about like Taco Tuesdays or butternut squash in the fall.
Buddy, let me tell you.
It's all great.
My wife and I, we did Marty Schmidt, Cafe Rue Orleans. We did her Cajun brunch.
Ooh.
My man, let me tell you, I didn't eat for the rest of the day. It was so good.
Dang.
But we did it there at Honeycomb, and it was so great.
Did you learn something?
Absolutely, I did. How could you not?
Yeah.
The setup's amazing, and this is turning into a Honeycomb Kitchen infomercial here. But they're great people. They've also got a great a retail site next door to the actual kitchen classes. And if you're going to do Honeycomb Kitchen classes, they fill up quick. Little side note there. Go right ahead. I'm sorry.
And also take your knives there. Drop them off.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Great call. Love that place. So let's talk about the other professions that you service. We talked about hair clippers. We talked about restaurants. There's a lot more.
Yeah, I service dog groomers.
That's great.
I service veterinarians, some light surgical medical tools.
People don't think about all that stuff. If you're not in those professions, you're not thinking about that.
But everybody has something that cuts.
Sure.
Whether you're at home or you're at work.
Sure.
And if you don't, what a dull life.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. I've got to ask you about the barber clippers.
Yeah. I sharpen clippers. I sharpen their shears. The clippers are kind of a pain. They're one of my least favorite things to sharpen.
Yeah, it's a
You have to
process, right?
Take them apart, clean them, sharpen them, clean them, put them back together. It's all for $10. I don't really. There's like national standards for sharpening prices. I don't set them, and I just kind of follow them. So if it were me, clipper sharpening would be $100.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. So you've now gone from trailer to van. Tell me about that.
Yeah, another situation kind of thrust upon me.
Yeah.
The trailer was kind of involved in a minor traffic accident. Wasn't totaled or anything. I still have it. We have plans for that.
Oh.
But it was necessary for me to move into the trailer after that accident.
Yeah.
And it was kind of godsend because parking a trailer in downtown anywhere in Northwest Arkansas is a nightmare.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
And so, all these landscapers and food delivery drivers and like the trucks and stuff.
Sure.
I honestly don't know how it happens.
No.
But kudos to them.
Yeah. How do you park in the Bentonville Square with a trailer?
You don't. You park blocks away.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, having the van has really allowed me to speed up my operations, kind of hone in, if you will, all the things that I can offer. It's allowed me to offer some shears for sale in the van, also some knives for sale in the van, and then just getting to build out the van has been a very, very fun process.
Tell me about how it's built out, what it looks like.
Kind of industrial.
Okay.
I have a lot of stickers on one wall just because I like stickers. But there's a knife sharpening station. There's a clipper sharpening station. There's machines for sharpening the beauty shears. There's machines for sharpening the textile shears. And there's a tool for everything. Yeah. And so there's very, very little wasted space and very, very few things that I don't need in there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Perfect. I'll tell you what. When we come back, let's go sharpen some things. Sound good?
Sounds great.
We've got that. We got the Mauk Engelman Home Pro Tip of the Week, and we'll get that next from Tyler right here on the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas.
Let me show you something.
Connect with us at Flavors of Northwest Arkansas on Facebook and Instagram, or by email at flavorsofnwa@gmail.com.
And welcome back. It's time for the Mauk Engelman Home Pro Tip of the Week, and for that, we go to Tyler. Tyler, what do you got for us?
I actually got two.
Oh, great.
Number one, never, ever, ever put your knives in the dishwasher. I don't care how cheap they are. Don't do it.
What does that do?
It the heat and the high water pressure can force itself up into the handle material, causing corrosion, and then also the high water pressure can dull the edge very, very, very quickly.
Okay, but you can still do butter knives, right?
Yeah. And spoons and forks and knives.
Yeah, spoons and forks, obviously.
And then the other tip is hone your knives. If you have them sharpened, they'll last so much longer if you hone them regularly. And so for every 2 minutes of chopping, for every 2 hours of chopping, you need to do 2 minutes of honing. Okay. And so whether that's, on the holiday weekend, that might be more, or summer vacation, that might be less, but however you cook, you need to maintain those knives accordingly.
So for people that don't know what honing a knife is, it's the metal rod.
Yeah. It's a round rod, and it's just meant to perfect the edge. So whenever I sharpen a knife, I send it out, it's as microscopically perfect as I can make it. As it starts to be used, it develops these little micro feathers. Okay. And if we don't realign them with a honing process, they'll fold over, dull, and then that's what creates a rounded edge. Okay. And so we're just realigning those. Sometimes you'll see chefs honing their knives near a food prep area. That's perfectly safe, perfectly fine. No steel is coming off the knife. You're just realigning it.
Okay. All right. That's perfect. All right. We'll be right back.
Your story doesn't have to end. As an organ donor, the good in you can live on. In fact, you can save up to 8 lives through organ donation. Sign up to give the gift of life after you're gone. You'll be happy you did. Just maybe, someone else will too. Sign up online today as an organ, eye, and tissue donor at organdonor.gov. It saves lives.
Each year, we have increased the number of transplants, organ transplants in the United States. 60 to 70% of those are kidney transplants. Thank God we were born with 2 kidneys because we can function with only one, and that's what I'm currently doing. And there are those out there that have volunteered their other. If you have interest in doing that, go to kidneyregistry.com. You'll be able to see what steps are involved, see if you're qualified. And in the meantime, also be sure to make sure you're an organ donor in case you're not. Organdonor.gov. Get signed up there. You can also do it through the health app on your iPhone, or when you go to the Department of Finance or DMV if you're not in Arkansas, tell them, and they'll get you signed up there. Donating a kidney is one of the most selfless acts out there. Thank you to all the heroes out there that have done that sort of thing. When we come back, we'll do a knife sharpening walkthrough with Tyler. That's next, right here on the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas. Okay, welcome back. We are here to sharpen knives. Mr. Tyler, you ready?
I am.
All right, let's give it a go. So first step, what are you doing when you get a knife beat up like that from my household?
So I'll analyze the knife. I'll kind of look at what it needs done. This is the first time it's ever been sharpened, and so it'll likely need a bolster repair. The bolster of a knife is this big, thick, chunky metal part.
Okay.
It gives the knife rigidity. It kind of protects your fingers a little bit, and it just helps give the knife, structure.
Okay.
And so it doesn't do any cutting, so sometimes whenever we sharpen in front of it, it needs to go down.
Okay.
And so the first step to sharpening is we come over here to our belt sander, and we'll use this pitch gauge to dial in our machines to the exact degree. And this pitch gauge can do like the 10th of a degree, and you can really dial in whatever angle you need. And so all of our machines have been set to around 16 degrees for this particular knife, and we'll start the sharpening process.
Excellent.
So the first step of sharpening is to cut in the initial geometry, and so we do that with a very, very rough belt. 3M ceramic belt is what we're using, and this is a 180 grit. It will just really impose the geometry into that knife. The next step is to move it over here to this belt sander. This is a finer abrasive. It starts to refine and remove the scratches that we just created. And then the final step is the last belt, and it gets charged with a compound, and it removes all of the scratches and removes the burr and leaves us with a very, very honed, perfect edge.
Honed. There he is again.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. All right.
You want to see it?
Shall we dance?
Let's do it.
All right. Giddy up. Beautiful.
We're left with a perfect, polished, honed bevel. Something that's repeatable, something that is better than the factory, and it's ready to be put back into service. Wrapped up. I've seen Final Destination one too many times. Ready to go.
Signed, sealed, and delivered. All right, time for the scissors.
We got some kitchen scissors. These are used from everything from opening up dog food bags to poultry, raw poultry. So kitchen scissors really need some sharpening whenever they get the chance.
Yeah. Stupid easy indeed. Thank you, sir. Oh, before we get out, a little bit about the possibility of a brick and mortar down the road.
Yeah, I just started selling some high-end kitchen cutlery, some things that you can't really find in big box stores. These are things that are like brands that are, I consider heirloom brands that are relevant to the culture of culinary and cutlery, brands that have been doing it for hundreds of years, or brands that are worthy of doing it for hundreds of years. And those are available on my website, and hopefully one day I hope to offer them in a brick and mortar type setting.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. That's going to do it for us this week. Remember to tip your servers. We'll see you next week. Have a great week. Bye-bye.